Well, we kind of raced through the second part of chapter 5 because it was all genealogy, and that's not terribly interesting, but it's very helpful for giving us credibility to the timelines of the scriptures. And we recognize that it did take us down to the time of Noah, around 2304 BC. And there's something I kind of skimmed over that I really need to mention here, and that is that we saw the lineage of Cain. He's the one that slew his brother Abel. And from Cain came many generations, which became the Canaanites. That becomes very important as we move forward, particularly in the taking of the Promised Land, because the Canaanites were a thorn in the side of everybody that was working towards taking the Promised Land for God. So we have the Canaanites coming out of the lineage of Cain. And I think that probably will help some people that have always been a little confused about that. The other thing that we skipped right over is the fact that Noah was 500 years old when he had children named Shem, Ham, and Japheth. They were his children that will play out as we look at the ark. So we've come through this genealogy. We see approximate of Noah. And there's an interesting thing that happens when you take evangelism classes. Most evangelistic classes talk about the fact that if we would be faithful to win two people to Christ, and those two people won two people to Christ, and those people each won two people to Christ, that in under 300 steps we could win the world. Now that doesn't seem possible until you take a calculator and you start doing two, each bringing two into the God's kingdom, and those each bringing two into God's kingdom, and on down the line. It seems impossible, even through about 170 or 80 steps. It seems like you're never going to get to the world's population. But as you get up into the 200th step, you start to see quickly how easy it would be. Of course, it breaks down. There's two people don't win two more to Christ, and those two don't win two more to Christ, and so it breaks down rather quickly. But it is interesting. Now, why did I even talk about that in today's devotion? Well, because we begin chapter 6 with the fact that the population was multiplying rapidly. And you wonder, well, how in the world could it rapidly multiply when you started out with just Adam and Eve and the few children that they had? Well, you can see that in the steps of these 500-year-old people, that if each of those people that had children and their children had just two children and their children just had two children, that again it wouldn't take very many steps before the world was populating quite rapidly. So that's how we begin chapter 6. So let's take a look at the text, and we'll see what was happening as this population was exploding. Now it came about when men began to multiply on the face of the land, and the daughters were born to them, that the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, and they took wives for themselves, whomever they chose. Then the Lord said, My spirit shall not strive with man forever, because he is flesh. Nevertheless, his days shall be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterwards, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bore children to them, and they were mighty men who were of old, and men of renown. And the Lord saw that the wickedness of men was great on the earth, and every intent of his thoughts of his heart was only on evil continually. The Lord was sorry that he had made man on earth, and he was grieved in his heart. And the Lord said, I will blot out man, whom I have created from the face of the land, and the man to his animals, to creeping things, to the birds of the sky, for I am sorry that I have made them. Well, we've come a long way from it was good or it was very good, haven't we? In just 5 chapters, the picture has changed. And now instead of God saying it's good or very good, he's saying, I'm sorry I even made them. It's a sad scenario, isn't it? We've moved probably 7,000 years at the most from creation to this time of Noah around 2300. Sad, very sad. So we look at this particular section of Scripture, just 8 verses, and we say to ourselves, here's some terms that I don't really quite understand. We have the sons of God. There are 2 major opinions about the sons of God. One is that it's the lineage of Seth, human man. And the other is that it's fallen angels, demons, if you will. And we also have the term daughters of men, and we have giants or Nephilim. Who are these Nephilim? Who are these giants? What are daughters of men and sons of God? Well, again, I think if we take and look at Peter and Jude in the New Testament, we would probably lean to the idea that these are fallen angels, and that daughters of men are literally human daughters of men. And they noticed that they were very beautiful. And you say, well, how can a spirit, a demon, a fallen angel, have a physical relationship with a human woman? And the only thing that we can begin to apply to that would be that we see spirits entering into swine, we see spirits entering into men, and perhaps these fallen angels, spirits entered into man in order to conceive children who became physical flesh giants, because most of the places that we've studied, we see that this Nephilim are giants. Perhaps Goliath was a Nephilim. So with that in mind, and certainly I could be wrong, but I tend to believe that that's what these terms mean. We have not only a very ungodly union here going on, producing giants, but we also have that the sin of man was becoming worse and worse. And as a result of that sin becoming worse and worse, God was sorry that he'd ever put man on this earth. And he decided he's going to blot them out. And we all know that that's going to lead us into the next day's study as we look further at Noah. But I think it's very important for us to remember that in just a short time, man has sunk so low that God's sorry he made them. If he felt that way during the days of Noah, imagine how he must feel today. Well, I think that that's probably enough for us to get our hands around today. So that's my thought for the day. God bless you and have a great day.